Hello everyone, this is Charles of Victoria Frontier. The course for CM7 is going to be on Tokyo 2000 meters. At the start of the race, there is going to be a 200 meter area where it is neither a corner nor a straight, which means that the 200 meters before the second corner, exactly this area, is going to be the entirety of no zone. TLDR, these skills are going to be very strong for fighting for a position before we enter the mid-game. Since the acceleration spots are all on the 1st to 6th place, most of the Umas will want to be in the front. Also, for front runners, you will want taking the lead plus groundwork, dodging danger, prudent positioning, ignited wit, 2-piece combo. Over at A tier, we also have Ramp Up and It's On. Ramp Up and It's On is going to help you recover from a bad position or secure overtakes in the mid-game. The mid-game is a very long straight, and up until this point is position keep. If your Uma is strong, has high wit, or has more middle game, you will be easily getting overtakes in right at the middle game. These other skills are relatively self-explanatory. I think Uma Stand activates a little bit late on this course. Concentration is going to be a must-buy on Runaway Silent Suzuka. That's going to be it for now for the skills that I think should be highly prioritized. We're now going to be moving on to the stat lines. The CM7 stat requirement is going to be 1200, 850, 800, 450, 800. If you're running a pace chaser, you add 50 to the stamina, so it's going to be 900. If you're afraid of murmurs, which I think is still valid to a certain extent, you can add 50 to 100 stamina to your ace. Generally speaking, your deck should be speed, wit, and Rico. Here are two examples where we hit the stat lines with this deck, and you can see this Ogre is reaching very close to max speed, and it actually hit over 1000 power and also 900 wit. During the run, you just hit a few more times on the power or stamina, spirit burst, then you should be able to easily reach the stat lines. Here's the stamina chart for you. Do what you may with that information. I would like to briefly talk about Murmur Spam. I think Murmur Spammer exists, and the way to just fully counter it, just have one ace go 900 stamina and 1 gold recovery skill. And if your ace hits the gold recovery skill, which with this wit, you're going to have a 90% chance of hitting, you should be perfectly fine. So if you're running 2 ace, you can even consider running a speed debuffer as a retaliation. Because if you're running a speed debuffer against a person with stamina debuffers, you have an entire slot above them. Your ace is going to get an entire speed debuffer's worth of speed, and you'll be easily beating the stamina debuff Murmur Spammer. You'll be fine against Murmur generally speaking. 850 and 450 can totally tank one shot of Murmur, and you should not be worried too much. I'm just putting this part here because Murmur players like to have a gotcha moment. Oh my god, I killed you with Murmur, your aces suck. Keep your other ace at 800 stamina and 450 guts, and have one of your aces go 900 stamina, 1 gold recovery skill. It'd be perfectly fine against Murmur Spam. For people with better decks, you can greed power, guts, and wit more. I think Gut Spark is decent. I ran 4 Gut Sparks and also clicked 2 Guts Bomb on this run, and I was able to hit this Taiki Shuttle. This is my taco shooter. Since a lot of people are going to be overstamping versus Murmur anyways, I think that it's more valid if you just go click Guts instead of clicking Stamina, because Guts is still a form of Stamina, and so this will also help you tank against Murmurs, and also give you a little bit extra speed on the home stretch when you're dueling somebody else. This is my reasoning behind breeding for Guts. Medium S is worth approximately 1.2 links. If you excel faster, it might be more. If you duel, it might be more. If you have enough skills to compensate for 1.2 links, you can sec Medium S. I'll be running this Taiki Shell for my CM7. Here are some more examples of very real builds to give you a general idea of what you should be expecting. Every single one of the aces on screen right now will be able to tank through Murmur debuffs, and will be perfectly fine and full sprint. These are the acceleration skills that you will want on each position. Just for the sake of it, I also made a default build and full explanation on what each strategy should be doing if you want to take a look at what your strategy is doing, feel free to pause and read each section of each strategy. That's pretty much it. If you follow this, you should generally be already doing pretty well. Here's one last look, and I'll be moving on to the next part. One final tip for acceleration is that Nimble Navigator and No Stopping Me is not that consistent on this track. You can buy Nimble Navigator, but don't buy No Stopping Me. Here is the complete tier list for CM7. I'll circle back to this tier list and explain which strategy is going to be strongest for each character, but the general idea is that anything can win, and as long as you are able to utilize your character's kit to the fullest, for example, if your character has a strong late game skill, you'll just compensate by buying more middle game and also acceleration skills for them, you will be able to win. If you want to force a character, Front Runner, Pace Chaser, and Late Surger all have enough acceleration options that I think will perform decently well on global server. This is simple enough, and you should be able to just force any character that you want if you buy your acceleration skills according to this chart. I'll go over the notable Umas from top to bottom. The strongest Uma and comp for CM7 at the top of the pyramid. Some call it triple front, some call it 2 front 1 pace. I call it the Bermuda Triangle strategy. This strategy aims to have complete control and dominance over the lobby. The Tokyo home stretch is 500 meters long, and any dueling that happens on the Tokyo home stretch is going to be very effective. This strategy aims to make dueling as consistent as possible. You are in control of your Uma. I'm naming this the Bermuda Triangle strategy. Feel free to name it whatever you want. I'm calling it the Triangle because this was a carry down strategy from the JP server that me and my friend used back on Tokyo 2400 for the 2025 June Classic Champions meeting. I used this in the JP server, and on this CM, this just reminded me of how Bermuda still works on global with CM7, so I just called it the Bermuda Triangle strategy. Your Umas will triple hug in a rail and create as many dueling opportunities as possible because of how they function. Each one of these Umas here can individually function on their own as long as they're within 1st to 3rd place, and for Maru is going to be 5th, for Taiki Shuttle is going to be 4th place. All 5 of these Umas have strong accelerations or speed carryover into accelerations in the late game, and they will play very nicely with each other and have excellent synergy. This strategy is very strong for Tokyo Racecourse, but this requires you to have at least 3 of these 5 Umas in your deck, so you have to at least have Silent Suzuka or Saiyan Sky as the anchor, and run Taiki Shuttle, Marzensky, and or Mayonotaka. Here's an example of the full composition. Silent Suzuka will take over and raise the pace of the lobby with taking the lead, concentration, and groundwork. Her acceleration is going to be angling and scheming and also unrestrained, obviously, and she will try to beef up on her middle game skill if she can. For the other 2, Marzensky Unique as frontrunner procs on 1st to 5th place. Taiki Shuttle Unique procs on 3rd to 4th. Therefore, we will control these 2 by putting them at Pace Chaser and also frontrunner. Marzensky with 0.6 acceleration and also middle game skills, and optional Nimble Navigator that will proc. You can also optionally buy Shooting for Victory for a little bit extra acceleration if you happen to fall down to 3rd to 4th place and need to clutch if you're matched against another frontrunner. Taiki Shuttle will buy TDDC and no other acceleration. She will want No Stopping Me. No Stopping Me is fine. I will still buy Nimble Navigator and go for more middle game skill, but Taiki Shuttle, you just buy head on, and Nimble Navigator plus just a bunch of middle game skill. Its on is very strong, and your purpose for Taiki Shuttle is just to push to the front. This composition has so much control over the lobby, and if somebody pulls out this comp against you, the only way you can beat it for a late end is if they are 1, naturally weak, or if you are running double Dominator and your late surger or end closer procs a good acceleration. Otherwise, this comp is difficult to crack, and you need to use the triangle to destroy the triangle. It's very hard to get a positive matchup against this thing. In VF Cord for CM7, this is the comp to beat, and a lot of players we have a lot of Oshi players are formulating a lot of different strategies to try and take down this comp. This is the comp to beat. Bermuda comp can be ran with other pacers and frontrunners. And my own Top Gun here is a frontrunner to replace Maruzensky. Since guy is here to replace San Suzuka. Again, this comp is flexible in terms of swapping out units. You can definitely swap out for Tame Opera O, which has a lot of middle game skill, very, very strong in middle game. And you just put in like white skill SFV plus TDDC plus like, what's that called? Plus head on. You will still perform decently against or with this comp, because the idea for this comp is to abuse dueling, and so as long as your Umas are able to line up like this nicely and create a triangle formation after accelerating down the fourth corner, you will be able to trigger dueling and have the rest of the other Umas eat your dust. It's very strong. This is a Tokyo Racecourse tech. It is not as nearly effective as it is on other race courses, but you can count on it to work on the Tokyo Racecourse. Now to explain the rest of the tier list. The stuff I'm going to talk about now is going to be these Umas in a vacuum and not factoring in team comp. San Suzuka is very strong standalone as she has Runaway, which is innately unique to herself only. Runaway Suzuka will comfortably take first place almost every single game if you build her properly, and will have very high control over the lobby. If you proc Unrestrained perfectly, and also angling and scheming, you will have very strong acceleration and will win 9 out of 10 times. Her weakness is that in the late game, she has low speed coefficient because she is Runaway. They're like the slowest in the late game, and she is susceptible to losing duels to other Umas that connect onto her or just duel on their own. And also, if you queue into another Runaway Suzuka, whether it's Ace or Blocker is not a real strat, but whether it's Ace or Blocker, you're just going to run out of stamina. It is very not recommended to run a high stamina San Suzuka, like 900, 800 is perfectly fine. You don't need to overstam on Suzuka. You don't need to account for spot struggle. If you actually spot struggled, just let it be and lose that race. That's why we have Bermuda as fallback. Christmas Ogre, also at S tier. She's strong because she doesn't require any interaction with her opponents, and she just needs to pass 3 wit checks to get a strong speed carryover into acceleration, and just has a very high chance of winning the game on the spot, unless she's against Bermuda Triangle. She has 0 interaction needed with her opponents, and all she needs to do is to pass 3 wit checks. Yippee! Her weakness is going to be that she spends way too many skill points on recovery skills, she easily over staminas, and also if she misses her wit check, she will lose on the spot. So yeah, buy 3 white recovery skills, Hydrate, 777, and say like corner recovery. This 3 skills is going to be your trigger, and that's going to be enough. And hope that you will proc all the recovery skills, call it a day. On to Ogre Cap. Her strength is Triumphant Pulse. Yes, that's just the entire unique skill. I've solved the Musume. 0.45 speed at the last 200 meters, be at 2nd to 5th place, like just be there and you will win. That's your entire win condition. You just need to be at the front of the pack, try to hold on and keep up with the other aces that are strong, and be 2nd, be 3rd, proc Triumphant Pulse, you win. Her weakness is very obvious, and that is that you need to get pretty much everything else on her kit. You need to get the excels, middle game, and whatnot. You need to grind a little bit more for her. But if you get the skills down, she is just Taiki Shuttle Plus. She is still very strong and very up there. At A tier, we have Ryan, Dober, Wedding Maya, End Closer, and also Fantasy Pasa. Wedding Maya is recommended to go End Closer instead of Late Surger because of the higher potential of getting a natural overtake just by existing. All 4 of these Umas have an innate 0.4 acceleration. They each have pretty decent skills that will hold up, and all you have to do is hit the stat lines and slam them. You will be able to perform decently well on these Umas just by themselves alone. They don't have that many weaknesses, they just need to keep up with the pacing of the lobby. If you fight Bermuda Triangle, one of these insta-proc, you will still be able to win. These Umas are strong enough and will function well on their own. Finally, here's the rest of the tier list, in which I think each Uma should be placed at which position. So For example, Wedding Mayago and Closer. Teo can run both pace and late. I actually ran late surger Teo and had a lot of fun with it. Agnes Digital can run both pace, late, and end. Wedding Air Groove will be stronger on pace, and the rest is self-explanatory. You can use this as a reference for yourself, or cook up different strategies unique to your own. Finally, the strategy distribution for the CM is going to look something like this. Yes, it's relatively balanced. It's very much different from CM6, where it's all end closers. More importantly, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're running triple end, you'll think that end is going to be strong because you are strong. If you run triple front, you're going to think front is strong because you are strong. It's simple as that. I think that each strategy is going to have their time to shine, and all you have to do is to make your ace as strong as possible. It does lean more towards the front or pace, but due to the existence of debuffs, the placement of acceleration spots is going to be moved up, and there's going to be debuffs at the back to pad positions for late and end, so late and end is going to get excels for free too. There's no saying which way it will swing. It's all dependent on you, the trainer, to make the strongest ace. Good luck. Finally, this is the recommendations that I have for your team comps. This is pretty much it. There really isn't that many good comps for Pacer or Late Surger. I highly recommend you run Dominators if you are running just Pacer alone and you don't plan on running a frontrunner. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you all for watching. This is Charles of Victoria Frontier. I'll see you guys in the next video.